Donald Trump is panicking as his unlawful war against Iran is beyond catastrophic. We are learning about more U.S. service members who have been killed in combat. The number is now officially 7 service members killed in combat that we are aware of. Remember, the Trump regime lies. I just want to say that. Also, apparently an 8th service member died, apparently through circumstances that the Trump regime is not giving any details on. So 8 service members actually dead in this war against Iran. We are now seeing the single largest oil shock in world history right now. We're losing about 20 million barrels of oil supply per day, with the Hormuz Strait being closed essentially based on this war against Iran. In addition, markets are crashing all throughout Asia, Australia, throughout the entire world. Stock markets are crashing. The U.S. futures, as of last night, was absolutely crashing. The Dow, NASDAQ, S&P down more than 2%, and that looked like it was going to get worse and worse by the minute. And speaking about by the minute, the price of oil exceeding $115 per barrel. We're likely going to see $4 to $5 a gallon gasoline on average here in the United States. And the price of diesel is going to be even more than that. I mean, you look at some of the markets yesterday, whether it was South Korea's market down 7%, Taiwan 6%, Japan 6%, Australia 4%, a global economic meltdown caused by Donald Trump and his despicable regime. Yesterday, Donald Trump was golfing at Doral, his resort in Miami, Florida, and he was forcing people to clap for him as he would walk around, and then he would frantically call reporters. Like, he even called the Times of Israel to say, look how great I'm doing. Isn't this amazing? To which the Times of Israel reporter said, well, when does this end? You know, are you able to withdraw on your own, or do you have to wait for Netanyahu in order for this war against Iran to end? Because the global devastation that you're causing is absolutely massive right now. And Trump says, you know, it'll be a mutual decision. Me and Netanyahu are going to figure it out together. Trump says, how great is Netanyahu? He's doing an amazing job. An amazing job? What the hell are you talking about? It doesn't get much more catastrophic and devastating than this. You know, interestingly, Lindsey Graham, who was out there saying yesterday morning on the morning shows, we're going to bomb the hell out of Iran. We're going to bomb the hell out of you. When more details, I guess, came out about how Israel was targeting these oil depots in Iran, basically turning all of Iran into what looks like a nuclear winter. The entire country was engulfed in these black clouds from the oil. And just thinking about not just the thousands of people who have been killed in Iran by the United States and Israel right now, but in the future, the people who are going to get cancers and other illnesses as a result of what has transpired. I mean, you saw those images yesterday in Tehran where as a result of the oil being blown up, these oil depots being blown up by Israel and seeping into the sewage, you had basically this ignition moment where the flames like literally engulfed the whole of Tehran. And meanwhile, in Tehran and in Iran proper in general, as you know, they've elected a new Ayatollah, Manchaba, the son of the old Ayatollah. And you had people now who are even against the Ayatollah in Iran, very supportive of this regime now, rallying around the Ayatollah, rallying around Iranian nationalism. Trump lost the people who were out there even protesting against the Ayatollah before. And a lot of the chants you're hearing in the street is, we now got a younger Ayatollah. It was Khomeini, who is 84, 85 years old. We now have his son. His son, Mojaba, who's the new Ayatollah, was greeted with huge applause in the streets. I mean, the people of Iran are more entrenched than ever right now against the United States. Everything that Trump and his regime and Netanyahu's done has absolutely backfires. And Mojaba's a more extremist, more of a zealot, more of a hardliner than even his father, Ayatollah. And his father's been killed, and all of his family members have been killed by the Trump regime in the United States. So you think this guy's going to be out there doing negotiations with the United States? Trump and the United States and Trump's regime at this point wants desperately to get a ceasefire, but Iran's like, why would we do a ceasefire with you right now at all? We see that you're bringing down the global markets. You have destroyed all of your alliances. You have not been able to defeat Iran. Iran just picked its new Ayatollah. They showed that they could have this transition of power. And sure, the United States and Israel, you're hitting Iran hard. You're blowing up oil depots and desalination posts. But Iran's like, well, we'll strike back also. We'll hit the desalination posts of Bahrain and some of the Middle East neighbors. One of the big issues in the Middle East, even bigger than oil, which right now is an utter disaster, as you basically have all of the nations in the Middle East shutting down productions of oil. But desalination is like the biggest issue. Purified water. They don't have a lot of water in the desert or purified water out there. So when Israel goes and attacks Iran's desalination, Iran's plan was, okay, well, now we're going to hit the desalination in Bahrain and all of the neighbors, and we can knock out all of the water that goes, to example, to Bahrain or Qatar or Saudi Arabia or United Arab Emirates, and we shut down the water. You kill people because the people aren't able to drink. People aren't able to access water. So this massive global crisis has been unleashed by Donald Trump and his despicable regime right now. And the people of Iran more entrenched against Trump and this regime than ever before. And what's Donald Trump doing again? He was walking around Doral, his resort in Miami, Florida yesterday, golfing and sending messages like this. This is a real post from Donald Trump last night. Short-term oil prices, which will drop rapidly when the destruction of the Iran nuclear threat is over, is a very small price to pay for USA and world safety and peace. Only fools would think differently. President DJT. Remember when he was in charge during COVID, or I should say, was not in charge, but was in the Oval Office during COVID? Like a miracle, it's all going to go away. We'll bend the curve by Easter. It's all going away. I promise you, he is a liar. So as I mentioned, he called Times of Israel, and he was asked by the Times of Israel reporter whether he alone would decide when the war with Iran ends, or if Netanyahu would also have a say. Donald Trump says, again, while he's walking around his property in Doral, I think it's mutual a little bit. We've been talking. I'll make a decision at the right time, but everything's going to be taken into account. Asked whether Israel could continue the war against Iran even after the U.S. decides to halt its strikes, Trump declined to entertain the theoretical possibility before adding, I don't think it's going to be necessary. Donald Trump went on to say that he thinks that he goes, we'll see what happens regarding the new Ayatollah Mojaba. What else did Donald Trump say in this interview? Regarding Netanyahu, Donald Trump said, this was on Sunday, Donald Trump said, Netanyahu and I have done a great job together, like what we're doing with Iran right now. Donald Trump then says Iran was going to destroy Israel and everything else around it. Now look what we have. Look what we have done. We have destroyed them. And Trump says he's not surprised by how widespread support for Iran war is in Israel, joking that the only thing more popular there is his own favorabilities. He says that he's joking. Donald Trump thinks this is all one big funny thing right here. especially as we learn more and more details that, yes, indeed, the United States blew up the elementary school in Manab in Iran. It was our Tomahawk missiles that did it. It's basically undisputed at this point, and our regime is just covering it up. And I don't want to have to convey that news to you. That's what I do. They're telling you the truth. It's tragic. It's sad to me that is something that's catastrophic that has happened, but that is what the United States is. That's what we've become. That's what we are under the Trump regime, and it brings absolute pain to me. Donald Trump goes, Bibi's done a great job. He's a wartime prime minister. Look at how well we work together. Many people will disarm because of the war against Iran. Right now, Iran is in a position that it's never known before, and it's only going to get worse for them. Really, because let me show you what's going on in Tehran right now, where you can see the chants that are going on in the streets right now. While Donald Trump was out there saying that, here you have the people out there with the announcement of the new Ayatollah saying, here I am at your service, Khomeini. Here, play this clip. And here the people are shouting in favor of having Khomeini be the next Ayatollah. You can see for yourself.
مجلس خبرگان حضرت آیت الله العظما سید مجتبی خامنه ای رهبر عزیز ما ولی فقیه ما الله اکبر.
Now contrast that to Donald Trump in Doral at his resort as guests clapped for him as he was golfing while he was doing all of this. Play this clip. Now, also on Donald Trump's social media platform, they are running ads. So he's taking paid ads that say, should we stop attacks on Iran? Yes or no? And when you click the ad, it then brings you to a place where you can buy golden Trump products right now. Also, in addition to the U.S. casualties, Israel sustaining casualties. Israel's talking about how the war that it's involved in southern Lebanon right now is going to take a long time. 2 soldiers at least died in southern Lebanon right now, and many others injured. We also don't fully know how many American soldiers really have been seriously wounded, in addition to eight dead. The Trump regime is saying 9, but the Trump regime lies about everything. Oh, and regarding the possibility of people getting drafted, Trump's not ruling out a draft and ground troops and a draft. Here's Donald Trump's chief propagandist, Caroline Leavitt, not ruling out the draft. Let's play it.
Yeah, and the president had an interesting exchange on Air Force One over the weekend, Caroline. I want to get your take about this idea of troops on the ground. Mothers out there are worried that we're going to have a draft, that they're going to see their sons get in and daughters get involved in this. What do you want to say about the president's plans for troops on the ground? As we know, it's been largely an air campaign up until now.
It has been, and it will continue to be. And President Trump wisely does not remove options off of the table. I know a lot of politicians like to do that quickly, but the president, as commander-in-chief, wants to continue to assess the success of this military operation. It's not part of the current plan right now, but the president, again, wisely keeps his options on the table.
In addition, here's Pete Hegseth when he was asked on CBS yesterday about whether he can assure the American people that the United States did not strike the elementary school in Manab, killing 150 children and like over 185 people total. By the way, our intelligence service are telling members of Congress that the United States did it. It's been independently confirmed over and over again. If you look at the crater sites of where the Tomahawk missile struck, you'll see nearby, like a few blocks away, there's Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps buildings and other buildings like that. And so you see whatever was used to target it specifically picked all of these buildings in the surrounding area to blow up. And you can see the Tomahawk craters in it. Anyway, here's what Hegseth had to say. Let's play it.
You were asked earlier in the week about this girls' school. You said the U.S. was investigating it. Have you made any conclusions about whether or not the United States, inadvertently or not, was involved in any military strike at that school?
Well, we're still investigating, and that's where I'll leave it today. But what I will emphasize to you and to the world is that unlike our adversaries, the Iranians, we never target civilians.
There was a report late in the week from 2 officials that it was likely U.S. involvement. Is that report false?
I've already said we're investigating.
If you could tell the American public it definitively was not us, you would tell us, wouldn't you?
I would say that it's being investigated, which is the only.
As I noted earlier, this is the largest oil supply shock in history, losing 20 million barrels a day. The top oil supply shocks in history right now, the Strait of Hormuz closure, 20 million barrels a day. The next closest thing was the Iranian Revolution in 1978, where there was a 5.5 million barrel a day loss. In the Russia-Ukraine war in 2022, there were about 2 million barrels a day that were lost then. I just think about other statements that Donald Trump's made over time as well. Like, remember October 1st, 2024, when Donald Trump said, oil is up, the world is crashing, we need Trump. That's what he said then. Or how about when he was in office on July 1st, 2025, Donald Trump says he's waiting for lower oil prices to fill up the country's strategic petroleum reserve. We think it's going to get lower. When the market is right, we'll fill it up. So he screwed us also by not filling up the strategic reserve when he should have filled up the strategic reserve. Again, in every aspect that's why I want to go through this in detail with you so you can just see it for yourself. Piece by piece right here. Anyway, I'll mention this. While all of this is taking place, Donald Trump's private business, the Trump Org, filed trademarks to put Donald Trump's name front and center at America's 250th. In one filing submitted on Friday, this is where his priorities are. A Trump 250 image was trademarked to be used on a variety of merchandise, by the way, including putting his name on the American flag, Trump 250 over the American flag. And this is how they're going to grift and make, additional money. It's all one gigantic grift from this Trump regime. And I also mentioned United States evacuating its Saudi Arabia embassy. As I mentioned before, Qatar, Iraq, Kuwait essentially shutting down its production of oil because it can't store it anymore. It can't send the oil out, so its storage facilities are full. So therefore, it can't keep producing because it has to go and be transported somewhere. So they don't have any more place to put the oil, so they have to shut down the production. And this is where we're at right now. Markets crashing, the price of oil surging past $115 a barrel, international markets crashing. By the way, Bitcoin crashing. Even areas like gold and silver aren't doing well right now. Again, what an absolute disaster from this Trump regime. We'll keep you posted every step of the way. It's the latest developments. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers, please.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.